Hello, everyone. Welcome to another week of energy readings with yours truly, Dr. Fryson. And we're going to get started in another different format. I'm doing a different format so you guys can tell me what works best for you. And I would like to also start by saying thank you to those of you who have commented on my different social media platforms to let me know how the energy is resonating with you. I truly appreciate it. The feedback helps me tailor the readings so that I'm not wasting your time nor my time. All right. So this is week 47. And we're going to go over the themes of week 47 before doing the individual days, right? So, the theme for week 47, starting November 16th, 2025. And what are the energies? The energies are the 4, 7, and 11. So, there will be a focus on your fourth, seventh, and 11th house this week, in addition to other aspects that we'll get into. What does this mean? What are the themes that we'll have going on? We got home matters to attend to. We have contracts and other people to attend to. We have our investments and our friendships and our social circles to attend to. We have to look at teachings, whether this is teachings of a guru on a spiritual level or is this teachings of education. We have primary education as one focus, and we have higher education as another focus. So we have travel. This week we have short term and long term travel. We have vehicles. We have the issue of perhaps your vehicle might not make it on a travel. Maybe you need to rent a car. Maybe you need to take your car and put it into service. We have traveling for spiritual reasons, traveling for work reasons. We have real estate coming up as an issue or a something to deal with. We have the need for compromise. We have controversy. We have community. So a need to be of service. We also have real estate, purchasing real estate, updating real estate, moving real estate. Okay. And then we have the other energy that's there, rest and recovery, adultery, because dealing with partnerships, increased sexual desire. Also, on another level, the mother energy, because the home is where the mother is. So, nurturing, desire to be nurtured. Perhaps you need to have a conversation with a mother or a mother figure during this week. Back to home again, we also have the crops, the farms, the food industry, and the need to sustain ourselves. Because what does the mother energy do? The mother feeds, the mother provides, the mother nurtures. And on the positive aspects, whenever there's positive aspects, you will receive that this week. Whenever there's negative aspects, that may be in jeopardy this week. Health focus this week, the areas of concern. And this could be areas of concern, not necessarily your area for you, but it could be someone that's in, I'm going to give you the potential people next. So the areas of focus, the chest, kidneys, hips, strokes, bad diet. Some people need to change their diets or are changing their diets, internal sexual organs, reproductive organs, the back, the lungs, calves, shins, ankles, and legs, and substance abuse, right? Those are the issues that may come up this week. So this could be for an elder sibling, son or daughter-in-law, a paternal uncle, a spouse or partner, or mother, or a very close friend that you're dealing with these issues with. Death, of course, is there, and the kidneys and the hips are there as well. Relief. How do you get relief from the energy? Well, one, massage, right, for some of the physical ones. Two, meditation for some of the conversations that you have to have. Water aerobics is going to be really good for some of the physical ailments. And of course, check in with your medical provider for some of the physical items in order to find ways to alleviate some of those. If you are a person who is supporting, you would definitely need to focus more on rest and recovery because when you are a supporter, a lot of your energy is utilized and then you don't have enough energy for yourself. And you may succumb to some other ailments in the process of trying to support somebody else, right? And now, mind you, I took detailed notes so that I can provide you guys this. The sun signs or astrology signs that are going to be more impacted this week are Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, and Cancer. And I may do a separate reading for those signs: Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, and Cancer. Gemini, Virgo, Pisces, and Cancer. Okay. If I did not say your sign, do not look for a reading. All right. The most impactful days are Sunday, Monday, and Thursday. So that means this energy that's going around might come to a crescendo on one of those days. So you might get news regarding the energy I just read off on one of those days: Sunday, Monday, Thursday. Okay. Now, let me go back to give you one other piece of information because we're halfway through the month. And I want to talk about the November itself. I know I told you guys about the November being the 11th month, and 11 is the master teacher and learning lessons, energy, that kind of thing. But I don't think in the previous videos I gave you guys the other energy that's there, which is the 5 and the 9. And of course, 5 and 9 together is 9. And we know 9 is endings of spiritual awakening, definitely associated with death because it's the last, right? In numerology, it's not necessarily death when it comes to astrology. But the 5 itself, the 5 is dealing with children. It's the house of children. It's the house of education. It's also another money house. And when it is the in numerology, it's also a gambling kind of energy, taking a chance, taking a risk, traveling, having fun. So that energy is also there. When it comes to wins and highs, you're doing great, but then the other side is lows. So the losses, which could indicate depression and things of that nature, because you lose money, you're not good with money. You're thinking about yourself and you're not really concerned with other people. Definitely could be a lot of movement. It is also another sexual freedom kind of energy. So it could be changing partners, right? Again, another indicator of the ability to not be faithful at times. So that's the energy to watch out for. But then the 4 energy, which is a lower energy than the 5 in November, is home. So there's a lot of movement within the home energy during the month of November. And we've seen that. And again, we're not just talking about your mom. There, that is definitely it, but it's the mother energy, which it is the what does the mother do? And so when you look at that, you think about, well, the mother helps lays the foundation for the family, kind of directs the family, right? So your direction in life may be impacted by your mother or a mother figure and the wisdom that they impart, or what you learned by what they did not do, right? So it's both sides of the coin. And remember that the mother also provides the food. So that's why there's a lot more conversation around those SNAP benefits for people in the United States, and the need have discussions around farmers and the food sources, and also the quality of foods and the just disease associated with the foods, finding out about chemicals or things of that nature. That energy is there as well. So that's the overarching energy of November becomes the 4, the 5, and 11, with the 11 being the major focus and the 4 and 5 being minor focus. Of course, what do I always tell people? Look at those areas in your astrology chart. So look at your fourth house, your fifth house, your 11th house. See what energies are crossing those areas because that would be more impactful for you. Okay, this is a general reading. So when I go through and I look at things, I look at everyone as a whole, and some of that will hit you. But if you look at your individual chart, you will see directly where all of this energy is specifically. Okay. So, and let's see what else is my notes there. Okay. That's it for that part of it. Now, since we're here, we're going to go ahead and get into November 16th, 2025. So November 16th, 2025 is the 320th day of the year, and we have 35 days left in the year. So the energies that we're working with are several, right? We have, again, everything that's associated with November, the 4, the 5, the 11, that's always going to be there in the background. But today we also get an energy of the 8, right? Which is power, money, sex, death, research, transformation, you know, health, right? And money, bossing up, starting a new career, leaving a new career, subordinates, that kind of energy. And then the other energy we have, of course, is the nine, which again is a ending, loss, death, spiritual awakening. Also, another transformative energy, right? Also, education. Also, learning, guru, teaching, traveling, right? And then the third energy is the five, another travel energy, change. And five is a little bit of death, only in the sense of what you do. So if you were a person who take a risk and gamble, you might lose your money. So that's a death, that's a loss of income if you lose in the part of gambling. Or if you are a person who likes to have fun and freedom, you may lose a long term stable relationship because of your activities with everyone else. So that's a little bit of a death and a loss. Now, the other side of those energies are you had fun, you made a lot of money, you got to travel and go places, right? Those are upsides to the energy, and every energy has both. There's also the energy of being able to lead people appropriately, that people turn into you to see you as a wealth of knowledge that they can seek out and actually get some guidance and direction. That's another energy that's there. So you may have more people calling you today. And the thing is you have to balance all of this energy, right? Because 11 on the higher vibration is a master teacher, but the lower vibration is the two, which is all about balance and relationships. So these five, eight, and nine energies are definitely going to be tied to your relationship and the need to balance your sense of freedom, your sense of self, your desires, your sense of adventure with what is being presented from other people and what they desire and what they need. Remember, we go back to week 7, is the 4, 7, and 11 energy. The 7 energy is always about other people's. Yes, that's your partners. Yes, that's sexual partners, marriage partners, business partners, other people that you deal with outside of yourself. And these are people that you deal with on a regular basis. And for some of you who are in the lower energy of the 5 or 8, people you deal with who are in that industry, the oldest profession in the United States. Okay, you know what I'm talking about. So that energy has to have some balance, right? If you deal with people in the oldest profession, or if you are unsafe in your 5 and 8 energies, your internal sexual organs could be impacted, which we saw was an issue this week with health. So, what does that mean? That means sexually transmitted diseases, or you went out on a some adventurous food journey that could be the stomach issues from food poisoning because you went and tried some exotic food that you knew nothing about. So what does that mean for you? What should you do today? How do you manage this energy? One, you have to take control of yourself. You have to decide, if I'm going to go do these things, I'm going to do them safely. If I'm going to try someplace new, I'm going to stay away from some of the more dangerous things, some of the dangerous foods, right? Because adventure 5 is adventure, but it's also cooking, right? So it could be you're being adventurous and trying a new dish, and that dish doesn't work for you. You find out you have a new allergy, right? So be careful. So, what are the other areas that are impacted? One, children, intuition. So, you could not be the person that's doing all of this. Your children could be the ones doing all of this. And as the mother, because that's the energy of the 4, the mother energy, male or female, doesn't matter. We're talking about the energy, the mother energy. You are providing guidance or attempting to provide guidance to your children who are doing this. Your children could be involved in drugs, and you're trying to help them transform their lives and get off of the drugs, because the 8th house, as well as the 5 energy, is definitely associated with drugs, and it's part of the 7 Energy can be associated with drugs and addictions as well, because those are lower vibrations. Addictions are the lower vibrations. Okay. You may also be helping someone, assisting someone as they go take up learning, as they go to school, as they go to graduate school, as they leave high school and go to college, or they're, you know, transitioning in some way. So you might be helping someone prepare for that journey that's coming up for them. Okay. This is also a lucky time. So, yes, gambling is going to provide some funds for people. That's going to provide some money, right? What do you do with that? The 11th energy, meaning the 11th house, is about investments. It would be prudent of you to take your winnings and invest them instead of just turning back around and, like, gambling away, or spending, going on a trip or something elaborate. This is a good time for investing in something that gives you a return of, dividends. So looking at investing, and you would be lucky in your investments this week. So let's move forward and look at some other energies. I do have the astrology section up. All of that energy I just gave was based on the astronumerology combination. This next part is definitely the astrology base itself. And remember when I mentioned the specific houses, I said the fifth, the eighth, and the ninth house. So when we look at the fifth house, we start out this energy with Jupiter being expansive in the fifth house, because Jupiter is in Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon, the mothering energy. Jupiter is in Cancer in the fifth house of children, discernment, right? So, definitely a time for focusing on children and the expansive nature. Perhaps your children are telling you that they're pregnant, they're, growing their family. You're going to be a grandparent, or they are growing their property. They're moving. Maybe they want you to move with them. They're traveling. Maybe they want you to go on a trip with them. That's one aspect of it. Remember, we also said the ninth house, which is higher learning, but it is also, I should point out, the fifth house and the ninth house together, combinations can bring about some form of suffering on a whole separate level, or a luck. It just depends. So in the ninth house, we start out with that Mars, Mercury energy, and the Sun energy in Scorpio, which is the Scorpio is a business type energy, get it done. But Scorpions themselves represent poison. The cure for the poison is normally another poison, right? So there's a focus on that in the ninth house, meaning, and ninth house is transformation, and higher learning could indicate death, right? Through poisoning, through some type of accident or incident of that nature, of a sexual nature, because it's right next to the highlight of the eighth house. And then partnerships, because we talked about that earlier, seventh house being a focus for this whole week. We look at what's there. The moon is there, the mothering energy, the nurturing energy. So this could be nurturing in the partnerships, not necessarily your mom. It could just be a need to give more attention to your partnerships with others. Okay. And there's in your 11th house, there's just in our 11th house, because this is everybody New York time, it is only simply about getting the work done, putting in the effort as we start that out. So let's move some energy around. And as the day progresses, again, that Jupiter energy moves to definitely a focus on home specifically. And then we have some more energies that shift, that indicate, uh, again, as I said before, the death energy is here this entire month, right? So let's just be clear that each day there's the death energy, and the death energy is strong. So it's definitely news of the death energy today, every day. there's a potential because that energy is just floating around. And it's going to be floating around for a while. But it's about who um, and the timing. And so today, definitely female, male, all elderly or older. So the age ranging in the 50s till the 80s, right? So that age range, that bracket is where the death focus is, because that's what happens. It just changes who, but that is a thing that happens. You just have to be aware of it. Um, so my condolences to anyone who's going through that. A highlight on health today as well. Definitely a highlight on clean eating as far as the food themselves, cleaning the food and making sure you get everything off, or if you get a salad from a restaurant, you check it to make sure there's nothing else in it. That kind of energy is here today. Who's working on Sunday? Arguments are going to be key on Sunday, but for those of you who are working on Sunday, be careful of workplace violence. Or and again, it's a 3 day energy, so just be careful of workplace violence of explosive energies with that can lead to accidents. It could lead to intentional accidents because people lose their cool. So just be careful. Pay attention to what you're doing in the work environment. With everyone talks about like the Mercury retrograde. The Mercury retrograde, a lot of people see as, oh, this is not good. But Mercury retrograde and most retrogrades just bring you back to a focus because Jupiter is retrograde. So Jupiter is bringing you back to a focus. Saturn is retrograde. It's bringing you back to a focus. Right now, we have three planets in retrograde, and together they are a retrograde, meaning going back. When I talk to people as a deaf doula and I talk to them about energy can miss you. So that means if a person's time to go was, last week and they dodged the energy, that energy comes back. Yes, that happens in real life. So it's a cycle thing. If you thought about you had a career and your career was in um, cooking, you left that career to go be an accountant. Now you're cycling back towards looking at should I go back into having a restaurant or cooking or something of that nature. It's cycle back energy. That's not always bad because sometimes the cycle back energy is what you need to do. Maybe you left it under the false pretenses that the grass was greener and now you realize it isn't. So there is a big focus on some people who did not have a surgical procedure that it needs to be done. They did not have they you have a career and you thought you were going to be going up the chain to become CEO. Now you have to undo that and look for a different thing because you have someone in that industry who's an enemy and now it's come to the light that they're never going to promote you. That kind of energy is here. Whereas you thought you were headed in one direction, you're now just shifting directions. That's what's happening in several areas, specifically the government. That's happening. People are changing direction in the government. That's happening in your health, changing directions. That could even be as something as you thought you were going to be a vegan and you determined you need to be a vegetarian. It's a change in thought processes because you have discovered something. You have discovered something that some information that was missing. That is always good if it leads you to the point of where you're trying to get to in your life. Some of it, not necessarily good for you in the moment. Most people don't like to have surgery, but maybe it's a minor procedure that corrects a pain that you've been dealing with for a long time. And the other side of that is you now can walk again because your knee has been repaired. So just pay attention to these things. Um, Pay attention to there is an expansive nature and communication and speech. So your relationships, more talking with people, which can be good or not so good. It depends on what the conversation is about. Okay. And remember, when I talk about these things, because we're dealing with those other people I told you about, it could be dealing with your children, and definitely your grandchildren. It doesn't necessarily have to be you. It could be someone had a procedure, the abdominal procedure done, and they find out that it wasn't done correctly and they have to go back and redo something. Okay, so remember when we talk about retrogrades, is might have to redo something. Um, and again, we look at now, I do see there is a head thing. So some of it might be a facial reconstruction type situation, could be um, plastic surgery that was not done well because there is Venus there, which is always about beauty, a tummy tuck or anything like that. That wasn't necessarily done well, a Botox procedure that wasn't necessarily done well, and it has to be redone, or it could be botched completely and lead to death for the person. That's the energy, right? So pay attention to that. I'm going to leave you guys with this. I said last week, and I've made posts about it since then, that if you are in a domestic violence situation, now it's the time to get out because this week, this month, it is going to be terminal for a lot of people. So I know some people who have survived it for like 20 plus years, and but this week it is at a high of being terminal. If that is you, it is advisable to contact one of the centers or someone to help you get out of that situation. Male, female, whatever, it doesn't matter. There's no shame in it because that energy is still here. Okay. So hopefully you guys will take heed and share this video with someone that you know is in that type of situation so that they can actually take action. All right. That's the energy. Oh, I didn't look at this one other energy for you guys. That sounds like cutting. Well, there is an energy for some of you in a relationship. There's two parts of the energy. Some of you could meet your sugar daddy or your sugar mama, and then that also could be bad. And then some of you can get inheritance from parents. Your parents could be providing you something to set you up for success. So, alrighty. Have a good one. Take care.